Right. It's the 2025 local body elections, and I'm sitting here with Danielle.
Yes.
I'm really crap at names, so it's always helps.
You're good. I also
check.
forget names frequently.
And you're standing in Hamilton East.
Yes.
Which is, well, I'm in Hamilton East, which is probably why I'm interviewing you now. Just wanted to get you to talk about, effectively, why should people vote for you, for one thing, and what are the important things for you in this election? Because everyone has things that they stand for, but there's generally some things that are more important than others.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, so...
So kia ora, ko Danielle Marks tōku ingoa, he mokopuna o Te Arawa, Tūwharetua, Fiji Tonga Hoki. I live in the mighty Fairfield, 3214-855. But this year I am standing for Hamilton East. I have three priorities. Firstly, obviously honouring Te Tiriti, not just the current referendum of the Māori wards, but entrenching He Pou Manawa Order, the Māori strategy, because every single time they want to do cuts, He Pou Manawa Order is always right there on the front line. And I think a lot of our council policies and strategies and documents have neglected to, continue entrenching He Pou Manawa Order in whatever way that it's necessary. The second one is future-proofing our infrastructure. Right. I don't want to be like Wellington with, someone was telling me, she called it a poonami, poo coming out from the ground because our pipes are exploding. And living in Fairfield, obviously had a lot of roadworks this summer, getting some new infrastructure. But even if we want to expand and grow our city, we are the fastest growing city in the country. Yeah. We need good water pipes so that we can have flushing toilets,
decent coffee.
Decent coffee, and all those necessities that makes a house function. And the last one is engagement. I've seen over the past 3 years going to council meetings and just even talking to my mates, they don't actually know what council does, they don't know how to engage, they don't understand the process. So if we actually go out to our communities, to the ones that don't turn up to council meetings, rangatahi, our young people don't turn up unless it's after school hours, but even our underrepresented communities, we need to have their voices at the table, because if they feel seen, they actually have trust in council and what they're doing. So those are my top three priorities this year. Okay. Yeah.
That engagement thing comes back to something my father always said, and that's if 100% of people vote, then no matter what the outcome is, it's a representation of the people at the time. You may not like it, but it's a representation of the people at the time. Whereas if only 50% or less of the population vote, well, then you don't know where the other people lie, and you may get governance that does not actually truly represent all the people. It only represents that small portion. But the other thing with engagement, I find this quite funny for two reasons. A, my age, and when you talk about young people, who I have to get used to the idea of referring to some people in this world as young, because people like you are probably half my age, if not less. And the fact that I was brought up heavily involved in politics as a kid. We argued politics at home. That was normal. It was one of the few times you could yell and scream at relatives, so long as it was a vaguely coherent argument, and get away with it. I had a mother who was the first, and then the next term second female councillor on our local council. Up until then, it had been men only. We thought that was relatively normal. We got a bit of a shock because we had to go through a few changes at home, because things were a bit different once Mum got onto council. We didn't actually think of that when we were helping Mum get onto council, but it seemed normal that Mum would get elected once she had a go at it. Right?
Absolutely,
And she was determined to create change in our local council, and get the old boys off their asses and kick a few butts and get things done in this town, which had stagnated a bit and this sort of thing. So engagement is important. But I also hung around with a lot of kids who had some vague connection to what our council did and what councillors did. Probably because they hung out with me and other mates. So we were all the sort of people who were interested in what was going on.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not saying all of them, but a large percentage of them.
Yeah.
So I find it quite weird that there can be people in our society here in Hamilton that have no idea, A, what happens on council,
Yeah.
what a councillor's duties are, what a mayor's duties are, how the voting system works, and how to consciously and informatively choose your representatives on council, and this sort of thing, and look beyond the fake news and all this sort of thing to what a person really stands for. Hence doing this, because whatever you say, people are going to hear. This is going to be uncut, apart from trimming the beginning bit where we babbled on for ages, and the end might be trimmed to tidy up, depending. But what people will hear is you saying what you're going to say.
Yeah.
It's not going to be altered or changed or fake news or anything like that. So they're hearing it from the horse's mouth,
Absolutely.
as they say. And today I think we're exposed to too much fake news. And when you combine that with people who haven't turned up to a council meeting or anything like that, and therefore unaware of how these things work, it's very easy. I don't want to sound picking on young people, but for young people to believe a narrative that is actually incorrect.
Yeah.
And that's a bit unfortunate.
No, yeah.
But and you mentioned before about the treaty. When our central government in particular do things at the moment, I get the feeling someone's sitting there with a treaty in one hand, a pair of scissors in the other, and trimming around the edges constantly.
Oh, absolutely. And only the English text.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I was going to talk to you about, because admittedly, part of the reason I asked you to sit down with me is because you're a supporter of alternative transport and things like this. And me being a cyclist, there's my bike over there, if you haven't noticed it. Me being a cyclist, I'm very interested in what I call true transport equality. Right? I'm not saying we should get rid of cars, although I could happily see, be happy if there were less on the road.
Yeah, that hesitation was telling.
Oops. And I don't see people should be forced out of cars, but I see that other forms of transport should be supported, i.e. separated cycle lanes, all these sorts of things, to give equality to people who either want to travel some other method or have to.
Yeah.
So because of that, I'm always interested in this true equality, because at the moment, most car drivers are okay with cyclists on the road. I grew up in a period where we didn't have cycle lanes.
No, yeah.
Right? That's because cars were smaller and drivers were more respectful of other road users and more conscious of safety and things like this. I've noticed over the years quite a distinct change in how drivers drive.
Yeah.
It seems there is a segment of society that believes that if you don't drive a car, you should stay at home and never leave your home.
I remember when I learnt to drive and I was, why am I in this big, large metal container? This is too powerful. I'm scared. And even like driving on the highway is terrifying.
I've seen car drivers driving around town that I think shouldn't have a driver's license.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I watch car drivers and see how often they don't look. Right?
Yeah.
The big one is opening car doors. The other one is coming out of intersections and driveways, not looking to the left.
Oh, yeah, never.
So my question is, where do you stand on infrastructure for cycling? I know there's a big push to, stick to the core infrastructure, blah, blah, blah. But my question is, how can you, if you talk about repairing roads and keeping roads in good condition, how can you not include cycling infrastructure into that as being an important function of the council? Because first of all, bikes don't damage roads. They're not heavy enough. Right? There's parts just up the road here, there's a piece where the tar seal's pushed up by trucks or buses or something or other. If this whole debate came up about putting a cycle lane in somewhere, like making a separated cycle lane down, I don't know, like Peach Grove Road, which would join a whole lot of schools and the university, for instance, which was planned at one point.
Absolutely, and because like I live by Heffy Terrace, the Boundary Road, Heffy Terrace roundabout, and I'm terrified to try bike across it I've gone across the Claudelands Bridge, and even when I take the lane, I'm always getting overtaken, so I'm like freaking out a little bit. But and then my friend has been like, just go to the Fairfield Bridge. I was like, why do I have to go all the way backwards to come into the city?
Actually, Claudelands Bridge is the better one to cross in my book.
No, yeah.
Mainly because of the fact that it's got the sharrows, so you can actually take the lane.
Yeah.
Right. I'm uncomfortable with Fairfield Bridge, but
like,
I'm more
small.
uncomfortable with Anzac Bridge.
Oh yeah, I would never. I personally wouldn't do Anzac Bridge, but
I'll ride them both.
Yeah.
I just am a lot more cautious.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing people forget is cyclists at the moment have to be 100% aware of everything they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas car drivers, the number of times the car drivers texting or not paying attention.
But I also don't think that cycling infrastructure is a green paint job on a small narrow part either. I think that it's a bit dismissive when you try and say that a paint job is cycling infrastructure.
Yeah.
Obviously it makes it easier to navigate if that's your first time, but separated cycle lanes, very pro that. It would make me feel a lot more confident. But I really do want to prioritise in terms of cycling infrastructure the ways that we can connect the schools, because when you look at Rosatuna High School, I think it's about 40% or 60%, I can't remember numbers, but majority of those kids bike to school, and you see all the bikes outside.
They got a brilliant bike rack section out there, because I've been out there to photograph basketball, right, at the peak.
Yeah.
And when I first went out there, I saw these bike racks, and I thought, I've died and gone to heaven, you know, and it was brilliant. Now, I am okay with the painted ones where they're needed, because there's some areas where you'll never get a separated cycle lane.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you take going past the university, that works there. Wairiri Drive. You don't need the painted one there because you've got that extra wide shared footpath, and there's a few other places. Heafy Terrace now you got down one side.
By the park, by Claudelands Park.
Which, admittedly, I don't always ride on that when I'm going north.
Yeah.
Because I'm on the other side of the road and I'm generally turning down Fairfield or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
But often if I'm coming back the other way, I'll use it. It does depend on time of night.
No, yeah, absolutely.
But the thing is, with that, when you get to the roundabout, you don't have it anymore.
Exactly.
And you're back onto the painted one. The difference between you and I, partially age.
Partially.
And the fact that I grew up cycling all the time, and a time when the cars were smaller and there were less on the road, and even in Hamilton in the 80s and 90s, there was less traffic on the road because there was less of a population. So there are places where you'll never have any sort of cycle lane because they're too, my street, for instance, is too narrow best times. There are other places where the painted green ones do an okay job because there isn't really room to separate off a piece, because sometimes you've got to have that piece, especially on the corners and things like this, where but there are a lot of places, and I noticed new developments like out Peacocks and all that. It's part of the planning stuff.
Exactly.
My fear is that if we get the wrong makeup in council, the requirement for that and the planning of a new subdivision might go out the window.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
The worst thing is when there's a whole line of cars and they're going slow and there's no reason for it up the front. The number of times I come off Claudelands Bridge, turn this corner and get partway along here, and I have to slow down from 25 k's an hour down to about 10 k's an hour because there's some car crawling along here and there's nothing in front of it.
And it's usually because they're trying to find a car park, and it's like, well, great, you could take 10 minutes to get into town to do whatever you need to go into town, but because people don't want to pay for parking either, they'll circle around the blocks for a good 20 minutes. I've done it once before, and I was like, what am I doing? I'll just walk across the bridge at this rate. Yeah,
and that also, you've just sort of brushed on the other thing, is the free parking. Now, I'm going to ask you where you sit on the free parking, but I'll first of all tell you where I sit on it. Because at the moment it's 1 hour free parking. We did have 2 hour, we're now 1 hour, and I know there's a whole section of candidates, probably 2/3 of them, that are banging on about bring back the 2 hour parking, right, free parking. I'm the other way and I would say get rid of free parking. That's the cyclist in me, get rid of free parking, because just pay for the parking. Yes, at the moment you've got an hour. If you need people say, oh, but you might get a ticket if you stay longer than that. No, you just pay for the extra bit.
Yeah.
Right? And don't be such a cheap ass. Pay for your parking. If you've got to go somewhere and it's going to take more than an hour, pay for your parking.
Yeah.
It's not that complicated.
And if you're so concerned, take the bus.
Well,
That's
yeah.
$2. That's $2 depending where you're coming from.
Or get a bloody push bike, you'll win. But admittedly, I would like to see parking on the street, especially along the main street here, limited to pickup zones, right, and handicap parking.
Yeah.
Right? Because the other thing that a lot of people, and I don't know how many council candidates think of this, there's been studies done in multiple different countries that have shown, even in this country there was one that showed when you put cycle lanes in or places for people to safely tie up bikes, business in that area goes up, especially for cafes and what I'd call places where you can buy small stuff and stick it in the backpack and go away with it.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. I think there was the stuff with the Golden Mile in Wellington, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because they were like, well, now that there's cycle lanes, people aren't coming. It's like, maybe you just didn't have a good business to begin with.
Yeah. And you just look here, look at how many cars have driven past, and how many of these cars driving past have actually even stopped in here at some point this week to do business.
Yeah.
So we've got a road here that's servicing cars driving past that are not stopping in, compared to, I was here long before you turned up, so number of cyclists that have come in and chained up there. I'm chained up there because I can't be bothered doing it down there. Chained up down there and gone into the camera shop, one into the bike shop, a couple of these shops along here, and this cafe. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And I've seen that in a number of places where you can almost drop right around Hamilton and go, oh yeah, there's some cafes and other places like this, and you go, oh yeah, they probably get reasonable business because it's inviting to cyclists.
Yeah.
And so where's your view on this whole free parking thing? Do you say don't need free parking, 1 hour's good enough, or should we go up to 2 hours? Or
I think at the moment 1 hour is fine. Like, to keep beating this dead horse is just ridiculous in my opinion.
There's certain candidates have kicked the living crap out of that horse.
And I'm just and I'm also like, what are you doing in town for an hour, longer than an hour, if you're here outside of work? You're either here having a coffee catch up that doesn't usually take 3 hours, so what are you paying the 2 extra hours for? And like we've already got parking in Centre Place and Garden Place, obviously.
And parking lot down there.
Yeah,
and keep in mind, none of the parking laws, the parking paying stuff finishes about 6 o'clock or something or other. Anyway, so if you're going out to a pub or a restaurant, it's irrelevant anyway.
And because people are like, oh, well, I had to pay for parking. And I was like, but Sundays are also free parking in the whole city, which I found out this weekend when I went to pay for parking. And they're oh, free. And I was like, great.
See, I wasn't fully aware of that because I don't pay for parking.
It just so happened that I was running late and had to, because I was going to the Super Sunday at Pallet.
Oh, yeah.
For Go Eco. And I was like, oh, I'm already running late, because otherwise I would have just walked across the bridge or taken the bus. But I was running late and I was a bit frazzled, so I was like, no, I'll just go in, found a park, great. And then I was like, free parking, this is great. Why don't people come on Sundays? Because all these shops are still open.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think it's a waste of time using our political will to keep talking about free parking, when I think some of the other things is that we could actually make Garden Place a lot more attractive, so people want to come here instead of being like, well I'm just going to go to Chartwell, or I'm going to go to the base. I would never want to go to the base because of how horrendous it is.
You've got a bleeding stage there. It wouldn't cost much to have the council invite people to do music and make it an entertainment area. And
not just summer, like there's so many fun things that happen in winter, and because I went to Europe because my brother lives there, and they stay out in freezing cold, like it's snowing, just drinking outside, having all their, I forgot what they're called, but the fire, those kind of things set up. And people are just happy to be outside and, chatting to each other. But we decided to shut off, Garden Place in particular, unless there's...
It gets a little bit more lively in summer, but that's about it.
And I think some of that has to do with the red tape when it comes to like hiring that as a facility, a council facility.
Yeah, that's an area they could make a few changes on, is making it easier for people to do things in Garden Place.
Yeah.
And therefore attract people there to watch things happening.
It's such a good place.
I'd love to see them. Like there's a Sunday, the Sunday farmers market.
Oh yeah.
I'd love to see the equivalent in here.
Stores.
I don't know, on a Saturday or during the week or something. I don't know. They'd have to work out when it works out for the stall holders.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see, especially for fresh fruit and veggies and things like that, in Garden Place.
Yeah.
They've done it once or twice in the past.
Yeah.
But it would be quite good if you had that a little bit more regularly, or made it easier for a crowd that could do it to come in and, okay, we've got a vegetable stall. But there's one that sits out on River Road just about every day on the weekend or whatever. Now, if someone like that could regularly set up here, because it's easy to do and not too costly, then how many people would go? Yes, it might take a while for people to get used to it, but eventually people would look at, for instance, I'd be one of the ones that would go in there, and if he's got something that I want,
absolutely,
would get it. Because I know some of the council candidates in this election are banging on about priority things for council, and most of the time they're banging on about water and roads, right? So does that mean you exclude community houses, parks, playgrounds? Hang on, we got someone with some music walking past. This whole issue of, so do you not see parks and things like this as essential? You know, yes, water is essential. Yes, roads are essential to keep in working order. But so are parks and playgrounds, because those are the things that make you feel better in a city. I've always thought that I would count that as an essential service, right? Garden Place, again, is an essential service. Yes, we could do more with it, but it is an essential service.
I mean, like, I think about, especially during our COVID lockdowns, how many people were cycling, how many people were using the parks and actually connecting with those community spaces, and how that was actually really, really important for collective well-being, but also, you know, just general health and well-being. And we've really strayed away from that. But I was really, really wrapped up when there was, I can't remember what it was being proposed at council, but some of the current sitting councillors and candidates were trying to cut library services. To Oaha, the makerspace, which is one of the easily accessible creative spaces for anyone. But like, I think of all the rangatahi that go there to make 3D printing things and all that kind of stuff.
I think part of that problem is people are not using. It's like cycle lanes. You notice most of the objection to cycle lanes and cycling infrastructure are by people who have probably not cycled since they were about 10 or 12. Right? I haven't been into a library for decades, right? So I could say, oh, we don't need libraries, get rid of them, right? But I understand that they are relevant to people. They are a good place for people to come together and get access to books rather than having to buy them, etc. And there's a whole lot of other services linked to the library, which I think are good, right? Including story times during school holidays and things like this.
And I think it's been really hard, especially because you talked about, like, you know, fake news and all that kind of stuff. We often really forget that there's a lot of times that they actually make unanimous decisions at council, but we focus on that one time that Ewan was pissy and the whole thing, it was this really intense debate. And it's like, well, that's not every single time. And I think, like, it is truly about collaboration. And while there's 26 of us, I think, on the East, they're not, in my opinion, well, some of them are completely against my own beliefs and my own personhood. But it's, how do you collaborate with these people? Because when you're in council, you have to go with an open mind. That's part of the, you know, the code of conduct.
This comes back to something else also, and that's the whole collaboration with the community in general, which is taking an interest in these things, and that's things like collaborating with both sections of Māori community and youth community in particular. I don't think you need to have lots of kids on council or something or other, but you need to be able to work with the different groups that represent those individuals in society, be it Muslim part of the community, Jewish part of the community, youth part of the community, disabled part of the community, and work with them to get advice on what they want in their city and how that can be organised to work. There's a lot of people in the disabled community who are a little bit annoyed at council not listening to them quite as much as they would like. And I think that's something else that it needs to be considered in the whole transport part of it.
No, absolutely.
But it's also part of that whole working in with the people that use that and going, how can that be different?
Yeah. Right? And it's like that same conversation kind of with the cycling. It could be like in the city, of course you want to have everything accessible, but if you're going to put it down one random street, it's like, why are we doing this for the sake of it when that's not what the community wants? They want to access. And
council can be facilitators in a lot of things. They don't necessarily have to fork out money, or they might fork out a little bit, but they can be facilitators of bringing the relevant people to the table and discussing how something can be worked. There's a young fella who's put a heap of time into a bike track out by Rotatuna.
Right? I know the one that just
I'm amazed with that dude, because it's not just for the school, but it's for anyone to use. And he's put a lot of time and effort into that. Now, he's done a lot of work to get participation from businesses to help cover the cost and all this sort of thing. Right? But council could be the ones that go, well, we've got this issue, how can we best solve it? Let's bring, we've got people from this part of the community, businesses here, that might be able to help. Can we bring them all together in the same room and discuss how this can be dealt with and sorted? And this is the one thing with your background with Go Eco, you're probably more used to this concept of bringing people together to have discussion over something and find a solution. Rather than just isolating it to one group or one person.
And especially like in the current context of like NGOs, of not-for-profits, there's not a lot of funding anymore because of our current government. So we've actually had to create those relationships and be purposeful about how we collaborate with other organisations who have similar aspirations. Don't have to be completely aligned, because obviously environment is different to like creative Waikato, which is mainly arts. There's overlaps, but there's so many other groups as well that are just little small community groups who are really passionate about this one topic, but because they're not a known organisation, they're kind of left out of those discussions, which is quite hard. But I think that was what was really awesome with the Rangatahi action plan that council did. They brought every possible person who could care about it together into a room to talk about it, and reached out and made it actually accessible for young people to try and give feedback rather than the standards, write your submission. It was like post-it notes on the website. So it's like you could say, I just want a picnic table at another picnic table at like Plauders Park per se. And it's like, you've just made a submission. It's actually not this big hullabaloo that we've made it to be.
But see, this again comes back to what you said earlier about being involved in the whole civics thing and understanding it, and being involved with understanding how the whole governing thing works, but also taking part in where possible either attending or watching online the meetings, seeing what's being discussed, and seeing the direction things are going in, and then having input either individually or through a group you're part of, or coming together as a group and taking part. And so the whole lot works together. But anyway, I suppose we should really sort of end this here. But thanks very much for taking part and spending a bit of time with me.
I'm a little upset I didn't get to talk more about buses. I'm an avid bus user.
Are you?
Yes.
Because you live just up the road from me.
Across the road, So
when you said Boundary Road roundabout, I thought you must be bloody close to me.
So I either take the 14, 4, the 6, to Orbiter, depending on where I'm going.
Get a bloody bike.
No, yes. I do have a bike.
I'm just needing you there. But
In summer,
I'm just trolling you.
That's fine with me because, yeah, even when I was talking about the Broadlands Bridge, that was actually when I had an electric scooter.
Oh, okay.
Because I was trying to see if I felt comfortable for an electric bike, but I still got my push bike, so we're good. But yeah, like it's really annoying, although I'm about a 20-minute walk to right here.
Yeah.
I want to take the bus when it's pissing with rain, and I don't want to try and circle around when everyone else who's decided to go to work today go to work and they're trying to find things. So I'll take the bus, but it's really annoying because one, don't have a bus shelter.
Oh,
so
yeah.
even if it is pissing with rain, don't have anywhere to drive. Although I'm not an idiot. I do wear my rain jacket, but the fact that we've got only 2 buses, and it's only just because of sheer coincidence that I moved to where I moved and have 2 buses that can get into town. I have to wait 40 minutes, so I've got to plan my whole day around this, and then I've got to also take into account the school bus.
Oh, you don't want to get killed in the Stampede kids.
I would love, and this isn't an official candidate statement, but I would love if more kids wore deodorant on the buses at least at 3 o'clock. I got stuck coming from the hospital on the Orbiter, forgetting, because obviously I don't really go to the hospital every day.
Yeah.
Forgetting that it was the school time. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is not a great time. But you know, if we actually had, well, even along Heavy Terrace, I love the new bus shelters that actually have lights, so at night you can take the bus without fearing for your life.
This comes back to my idea of having transport options that people can choose, but also be safe.
Yeah.
Cycling, it's cycle lanes and separated cycle lanes. For bus travellers, which might be someone in a wheelchair, might be someone able-bodied like you, that's knowing that you can be at a bus stop and be safe. So there's shelter, there's lighting. Yes, you're always going to have some bus stops that are just a pole with a bus stop sign on it, but key ones where there's probably a higher percentage of population likely to use it, have a bus shelter that's got good lighting so you can feel safe in there would be good.
And even I think for cycling infrastructure, the amount of places that don't have lights, and because I went to, what's where the Christmas lights?
Oh, Hereford Drive.
Yeah, Hereford Drive. And I had to go all the way around River Road because it was just safer for me to do that at 10 o'clock at night with the lights. Like I had my own bike lights and stuff like that, but I was just like, I'd feel safer just going this way.
If you were just going through that area to go from place A to place B and not looking at the lights, it would be a major pain in the ass, even on a bike, because there were parts where you were slowed down, you just couldn't get around the traffic. Yeah,
and people had parked their cars and then people were driving and you're trying to...
Half on the road, half on the footpath. And
people, because obviously there's so many people that walk along, which is great, but you're like, now I got to maneuver around people, and I wasn't the most confident at the time either, so I was like...
And I must admit, if I was going to the other side of Hereford from my place, and I was just travelling, I wasn't going to look at the lights, I would go I would skip River Road, I would probably go all the way out Bankwood Road, and go right round that and just loop around the whole lot and give it a complete miss. Mainly because having to sit in the backlog of traffic on River Road would get me agitated.
Which is great now that River Road has those cycleways going up towards Dio and stuff.
Which is generally good. Occasionally things like that, they tend to sit in them. It's good when they're not. But even then, I would just go, it's Christmas time, I want to go there, the lights will be on, I'm not going down River Road, I'll go that way.
Absolutely.
Right. Whereas normally, if I was going in the same direction, I would go down River Road. Right. But you're saying about bus stops. I haven't had a need to use a bus stop for ages. But from my place, I live on a road that's parallel to Heafy Terrace. Right? So I have to come out my gate, hang a right, then hang another right, walk down to the end of there. That gets me to Heafy Terrace. Then hang a right or left, depending on, actually left is probably easier. There's 6, 1 and a half a dozen of the others to which bus stop I go to. The one by the mosque or the one further up is hit and miss. But I'd probably hang a right and go along to there to catch a bus. Right? Which is understandable because I live on a little tiny street. Right? But the fact that those are sheltered means that even if I have to plan my trip and with more extra time, at least I know if it's raining, I can take the umbrella, wander along, and then I'm in a sheltered bus stop.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? But I think just on the bus thing, my last thing is that I think we need to also recognise that we need to collaborate with Waikato Regional Council a lot better.
Yeah.
Like I think over this past triennium, so 2022 to now, they've done a lot better because of the priority to be a bit more equitable in terms of transport options.
Yeah, and I think our local council, Hamilton City Council, has interacted with them a lot more to get a system that works well.
Yeah, and I think it's just really important because obviously also people conflate stuff that's actually regional council stuff or NZTA stuff with something that council is. I don't know if you've also probably seen the arguments about, oh, why is this road so bad? It's like, that's NZTA, that's not a council thing. Stop blaming council.
Yeah, that I find quite a laugh. Like the number of people in Hamilton that don't realise that Hamilton City Council do not control the bus timetable and routes and all that sort of carry on.
No,
right?
Absolutely not.
But they think they do, right? And that's, I think part of that's an awareness thing.
Yeah.
Because one thing that people, and there are a certain group of people that are holding a Meet the Candidates thing later this month that I'll probably go to, that you'll probably be at because it's Hamilton East, go to Tuna.
Great.
That have a bit of a problem with the whole bus transport and all this sort of thing, right? As in they're quite against buses and bus stops and data. What they forget, and most people forget, is that at the moment you've got a driver's license.
Yep.
You can drive or ride a bike or ride a scooter. I don't have a driver's license, so I ride a bike, right? But what happens if something happens and you can't drive? I don't know the bus system well enough, but I do think if you want people to use it more and therefore reduce congestion, it needs to be inviting. And again, like the cycling infrastructure, it needs to be connected.
Exactly, yes. Like I always get frustrated when I'm wanting to go from like Fairfield to Grey Street, like Maiden, that area. And you're like, well, I have to take the Orbiter where it's just one road, which could be a 5-minute bus ride. It's now a half an hour bus ride because it goes all the way around. You're like, oh, I could just walk.
Oh, well, thanks very much for your time.
No worries.
And good luck in the election.
Thanks.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes with 26 on Hamilton East, plus God knows how many running for mayor.
Yeah, I don't know how those candidate events are going to go because having 26 seats in the front is going to be a bit
I was hoping for less candidates so that each candidate could get more time. Because it's not just how they're going to put the seats out, there is the how much time each person gets.
Yeah, and because I ran in the Māori ward by-election last year, there was 8 of us, and even then, like, you'd have to pick and choose what was actually the thing you wanted to make a point on. Yeah. Because, everyone else is trying to fight for it. So I'm definitely going to be picking and choosing events because also...
Because you're not in the Māori ward this time, are you?
No, I'm Hamilton East. But, it's where are those opportunities? Where is it also the collaboration with the communities I'm already part of? Like, I might not be the most avid biker because I'm scared for my life half the time, but I'll still come to a Bike Waikato event because I'm still pro cycling. Yeah. I'm pro anyone wanting to move away from using cars.
Oh, well, good luck and have fun in the election.
Yes.